Good afternoon, TNT. Good afternoon. Coming to you live from the studios of 104.7 Mo FM. I'm Robert Amar. This is Blog 4. This is my weekly blog in which I discuss the issues that has surfaced or that has shown its face, so to speak, in Trinidad and Tobago. An interesting time has just elapsed. Obviously, coming out of the parliament debate with regards to the proportional representation in local government. Maybe it is a step in the right direction. Some others before me have given their views that it is something that has been outstanding since long before we had gone for independence to the British in 1962. But it's a step. Whether it's a step forward, whether it's a step too fast, whether it's a step that didn't take all the things into consideration, it's a step. Whether the people of Trinidad and Tobago want this type of governance, we'll know in time. What we know is that there is going to be a slightly better arrangement in the local government where the possibility is that minority parties could emerge and win the support and representation in the council. And therefore, that may lead to a by far better cooperation and by far better services to the community and to the people at large. But we look at all the other issues that has faced the country. The newest one, of course, was the cabinet reshuffle. And the cabinet reshuffle that put in place 3 new ministers. One to take care of communication, the other to take care of crime, and the other to take care of social issues. I leave the social issues because at the end of it all, I do not think we have the empirical data to support that particular decision of monetary spend. But I focus my attention on the National Security Ministry and look at predecessors of national security and ask whether or not we are serious about solving the criminality or the problem in the country. Today is Thursday, it's the 12th, and on the front page of the newspaper today has one man with 4 high-powered automatic assault weapons. And one wonders, how is this getting itself into the country? Where is it passing? It would be interesting, of course, for the government to go back and look at some of those weapons that they have confiscated by finding of the serial number or by possibly sending the bullet and its design to the manufacturer. They may, from their records, be able to ascertain where it was shipped. And if one knows where it was shipped and whom it was shipped to, one could then possibly, logically, with the serial number and all the records that has to happen for these types of arms and ammunition, we would be able to at least ascertain whether it is coming in contraband or it has been black market sold by arms dealers, which is like the trade of human trafficking. It's a fait accompli and is a business that we have to accept at this stage of the game exists in our lives. Whether he's going to make a good job of it or not will depend on the execution. And I mean the execution not from the point of people that are on death row, but the execution of efficiencies that he employs and the action that he takes in the shortest space of time. If, for instance, within 1 month from today, let's say 15th of October, those assault rifles that was on the front page of the newspaper in Trinidad have not been confiscated, found, or traced back somehow or the other, I would say to you that more than likely he will be a failed Minister of National Security. A killing in Caranage recently has occurred, and information is being preferred, advised, suggested that it could have collusion with members who are responsible for law and order in the country. That would seem to be a very simplistic thing for him to address, and I would not want to speak about it. But there is a very simple mechanism to getting to the bottom of that and having some kind of adjudication as to whether or not we have indisciplined, indiscretionate, and wrong people serving in some aspects of our national society. We then turn our attention to the Minister of Communication and we ask the question, does a successful businessman equate to being a successful information provider? I met with him today. He was very cordial. He said, any information you want, ask him for it. He will give it to you, he'll deliver. And he's going to try and balance the system that across the spectrum, there will be no segregation as to who gets the business. There are some issues that popped up again. One is this chemical supplied by SIS, chlorine to WASA, a product that is, I would say, specialized. And while they may have suppliers, they are not many because it's a highly sophisticated business, a sensitive business, and a specialized business. One has to go back and, if they are serious, look back at who has been the supplier to WASA for the last 10 years. And I feel fairly confident it has been the same person over and over and over. It's a $45 million contract, and it means to say that whoever has gotten it has enriched themselves in a kind of semi-monopolistic business because they have the connection, they have the relationship, or they have the inside that puts them at a place and time that affords them the opportunity to win such a contract without really having to fight up against the wolves. This is not like catering for copiers or computers or whatever it may be. So there are some issues that are there. But one of the worst issues that was confronted to me or was put in my path is the issue of this North-South highway. And today, in the post-cabinet, I did ask the minister, and he said he has a full report that he's going to be addressing to the parliament. Public information now is that the highway that was put forward in the proposal was supposed to be a 100-meter highway. We are now hearing that the highway is now 60 meters. The normal person in Trinidad and Tobago will not care whether it's 60 meters or 100. They only care that the highway, you can drive your car on it and it's smooth, and you can get from point A to point B in no time flat. One man said he went Shogunas to Pinal in 15 minutes. He had to be speeding, but nonetheless, the reality is, yes, it has helped. The fact of the matter is, what have we tendered and what have we agreed to pay for? And if the contractor wants to play hardball, the reality is we have to really defer this information, decipher it, analyze it, and come up with a plan of understanding whether this is a 100-meter or a 60-meter highway. Because the price, they never told us that it was for a 60 or 100, but the specifications and the documents that would have been put forward to the contractor who submitted his tender, and the price was approved in accordance with some documentation, would clearly identify whether it's 60 or 100. If there were some negotiations in between that the highway had to be stripped down, so to speak, to 60 meters instead of 100 because the space wasn't available or whatever, the reality is that we have to still wait to get full disclosure from the minister, and I await to see what he says. What is interesting is that the Minister of Finance advised the country in his budget speech that the cost of that highway was funded through the exchequer, meaning through the government, and that they did not have to borrow money for it. I do not know if that cost from the time they started to now, whether it's $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion, $4 billion. I don't know. And only when we get to that point of understanding what that is, will we be at a stage of appreciating whether or not we'll be able to achieve the objective of building the highway under the time frame. And as the minister bandied several times, I'm talking about the finance minister, that he is assuring us it is within budget. It is only then we will know. Because if one quarter of the road is finished, so to speak, and it's costing us 5 billion, and as the minister said today, the highway was never 7 billion, it was 5.9 or 5.8. The reality is, whatever that number is, we would have to do some arithmetic and do some juggling to understand. And not wait like the Brian Lara to be told today that it needs still $180 million to finish it. But there is nothing published, so to speak, to show what is going to cost 180 million between, let's say, the components of labor, materials, and technical. This highway is going to become a burden just like the airport became a burden. Bigger the size of the contract, bigger the burden. Bigger the burden, bigger the problem. Bigger the problem, easier the reason to want to take advantage of things within that domicile. But we just have to sit now like lame ducks and wait for feedback with the hope that it will be authentic and in full. I asked today what is going to happen with regards to the zoning of lands along the highway. What is the land going to be for? These lands are now going to be considered commercial based on the access of the highway. So is it commercial land or is it agricultural land? Is it semi-industrial land or is it general housing land? And somehow or the other, if you're developing a highway and you don't have the plan to decide what you're going to do with those lands long before they're done, it indicates that you are not planning for the future. The walkover became an issue today, and I must tell you that I was very appalled with the minister's statement when I was trying to suggest to him that it would be by far a bigger priority to install a walkover at the Public Transport Service Corporation's headquarters down in South Key versus one across the highway for the use of pedestrians going to the mall. I don't see that as being something that is government's responsibility. A man who has built a mall has built two other malls of similar nature, Shogunas and Tobago, is now coming and telling people that the government have to put a walkover for him. I find that to be totally, totally inconsiderate, especially when this man is making money. That's a customer service. That is something he needed to provide. It's no different than what had happened in the one down in West Mall, which was put up, hardly ever used. Nobody has done the cost analysis, I'm sure, with regards to how many people cross this highway from the mall to beg a drop or get a taxi. I am sure it's an inconspicuous number. And to spend 40 million, 30 million, 20 million for an inconspicuous number, I don't think that makes sense. What they needed to do was to lock off that part of the highway by putting high-rise walls that are directional or informational or national pride type walls and push the people to go to the damn traffic light to cross there. But no, it's not your money, so who the hell cares? Just spend it anyhow. And as if though that wasn't enough, we now have the issue of Vonley, who has, of course, had his seat made vacant, and he is now insisting he's still a member of parliament. Well, God help us all. Let's hope that by the time we speak again, you will be in a position to really articulate how you feel. You can contact me at robertamartt@gmail.com. That's robertamartt@gmail.com. Or you can get me at 868-738-3943. You have a great week, people. And I look forward to talking with you again next week. Until, bye.